Good afternoon, welcome to AwakeNomada. This is Paola Gomez, your host.
And I'm Karen, your co-host.
We are here to introduce ourselves. This is our first ever podcast. We want you to connect with us and with people, but first of all, we need to introduce ourselves. We want to tell you about how this project was born, how we meet each other, and to show you the process of all this creativeness that we have right now.
So I can start by introducing myself. I'm Karen. I'm a motion designer, although I'm in the process of not defining myself in what I do, but I still do. I'm a motion designer. I'm an artist, so I like to create. I'm from Colombia, and I was born in Colombia, but grew up in Spain, and I came here when I was 12, and I have been here ever since. Here in the UK, in London, precisely, East London.
I start saying that we have a pretty similar background for some reason.
Yeah.
So I was born in Colombia as well. I grew up in Spain, but I moved later on in life. I was 21 when I moved to England, and I live in South London right now. I am from Pereira, and she is from Pereira, which is quite weird. Because we never thought, the first time I met Karen, I thought she was Asian.
Yeah,
thought.
Yeah, for me that's disgraceful for a Colombian to think I'm Asian. But
the thing is, we met in a trip.
Mm-hmm.
It was a group trip, but I was going on my own.
I was going on my own too. Yeah.
We were like solo, kind of traveling for a couple of days with a group of people that we didn't connect with, but strangely enough
we connected.
Exactly. It's like
I think because the whole group ended up being, they were all from the same place, so their culture kind of took over. And I think there were elements about that trip that I was just trying to take in. Actually, I remember the moment we connected, or I felt connected to you, was when we both left the group. You left the group, and then I met you. You were by the beach.
Yes, and it was
dark. And we couldn't. I couldn't see your face. You couldn't see my face, and I just felt like I was talking to another soul that somehow understood what I was saying. If it was pain or if it was whatever it was, and we spoke for a short while.
Yeah, and it was a deep conversation.
Yeah, it was very deep.
We were talking. Something that I really keep in my head is something you told me about getting a van and going and traveling around. I remember that. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Because I have the same kind of feeling of I want to go and travel the world. Doesn't matter how, but the van idea is very cool.
Yeah.
So I remember that.
I still want to do it. So we'll see.
Maybe. Yeah. Imagine this podcast going around in a van. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. So that was the day we met. And I want to mention this because I thought about this earlier. We met through an app that was aimed to connect people, but every event I went, I feel so disconnected from them. But I give it a go few times, and I didn't connect with a lot of people. Like I connect with you, and there is another girl that I met that is called Natalia, and I keep in touch with her. I have traveled with her actually. We did a road trip, cycling trip to the Netherlands. That was amazing. But I met a lot of people, and I couldn't connect because everything at the end was about getting clients.
Yeah, it was very.
And everything was like money. Driven.
I think the thing was that it was made by certain type of people to attract certain type of people. So one thing I noticed was in this group there were a lot of entrepreneurs and creative people, but creative people that somehow already had it figured out and they were just doing their own thing and connecting with other successful people, and it did at some point feel very much like networking, and not so much. And also you got the culture side of it, because there was a lot of they represented one culture, so anyone who wasn't part of that, sometimes you just felt like a bit out of place. Yeah,
that's true. So that was the moment we met, but then later on we just keep hanging out.
Yeah, I think the more I got to know you, I realized we had so much in common.
Yeah,
I was like,
and I feel that is not easy.
No, because I'm weird.
Me too.
So if you're weird, then we're like...
We are a couple of weirdos.
Then we're the
I
same
like that.
weird. Yeah.
I like that. I like the weird. I think that conversation that we had the first night, like, got me to understand, okay, there is people like me, and then I remember you wrote something and you read it out to me.
Yeah.
But I don't remember, that was the next day. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think I wrote like a poem. I can't remember where I was in life at that moment, but I think I wanted to write down what I was experiencing, and this connection, I just wrote you down as a stranger. Like, I just had this connection with a stranger, and to share something so intimate, because I remember we were looking at the sky and the view was amazing.
It was beautiful.
And everything else was dark, and it was just the sound of the waves. And you know, I often have those moments on my own or with a partner, and that's amazing, right? But I didn't know you. We shared that moment, we shared a conversation, and then I just needed to write this thing, that you can experience this thing with a stranger, someone you don't, and almost feel like I knew you somehow. We just connected somehow.
Yeah. It's true, you know, I wasn't going through a very good moment when I met you. I was in a very rough kind of stage and feeling very like a part of the society, which is a feeling that I very often felt. But the more I grow, like, or I connect with me, the more I connect with people like me as you. And I think that moment was when I was breaking through my shell of, oh my God, I'm scared of meeting new people and being again the weird of the group, because I always had that I was always the one that they look like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
And I just did things to fit, and I was so, oh my God, it was overwhelming. I was like, okay, it's time to start meeting people. You cannot be in this shell forever.
Yeah.
But I give myself the time to be alone, and then when I start meeting others, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think also interesting that this was right after the lockdowns. Exactly. So it was a time when I think people just really, I felt like I really wanted to connect with new people. Also, like pre-lockdown, I had gone through a breakup. So already my foundations and everything was a bit like, I didn't have those strong friendships, those strong connections. So I really felt like I needed to meet new people, and same as you, like, to just get out there. And then I remember just telling a few people about what this app was. You're like, oh, like a dating app, but for friends. And you're like, yeah, like, is that weird?
It is. It sounds weird. I stopped using it though. When I start feeling that we think of, okay, this is not the right, I just keep whatever good I got from there, but that's it, I don't want to use it anymore. And fair enough, or strangely enough, I start meeting people spontaneously, and people that wasn't connected to me for a while, they came back, and they were another type of person, if that makes sense. It was very strange, but anyways. So this is the purpose of this podcast, to connect people and to tell you stories that for me, as the one we are telling you right now, have been very important to understand that out there are thousands and thousands of amazing people, which I used to think they weren't. I had trust issues. I have been hurt so many times that I said, okay, but I never gave up on people, and the idea of this is to show you that.
One big thing that you're going to find out later on in the podcast is that I love plants. We both love plants, but I am the crazy plant girl right now, you know. And I learned a lot from plants. I think plants, they are social. The more you have, you know, they create their own ecosystem and stuff. And we are also social beings, so we do need to be. And I myself right now working through my own trust issues with people, and we've spoken about this, building strong relationships and connecting with people. But very often what you find is that because we have the need to connect, we might connect to whatever we have around us that might not be the right thing that's going to help you grow, sometimes it is, and that's great. But at least for me, and what you were saying earlier, I always felt like the weird one. Like, this is just not, I didn't agree with many things that I was doing, but you do them to fit in, to kind of follow the crowd and stuff, and it just crushes your soul. And
it does.
And I mean, I found myself at a point that I was like, who am I? You know, if none of the things I'm doing reflect who I am, then who am I?
I totally agree. And at this point, I will go back to something you said about you don't want to define yourself for what you do. And oh my gosh, that is like, I used to. But right now, like, okay, I was a nurse, so I will say, okay, I am Paola, I am a nurse, whatever. But right now, in this stage of my life, where I don't know where I am or what I am professionally speaking, because I am in a transition there, trying to find out and getting very creative. I just can say, like, besides being social, the human beings are very creative. The more you connect with you and stop identifying yourself with this work, friends, what other people do, when you're trying to fit in, the more you find out who you are. Yeah,
that's true. I think I'm kind of right now trying to go back to the inner child and like really get to know that part of me. But something that I find very interesting, and what you were saying, that we human beings, we are creative. I think we are. I think we grow up believing that we're not good enough to be creative. But you are creative, and whatever you do to express that creativity, that's a tool. And obviously the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So when you see an expert, like a dancer or musician, they've spent enough time to perfect that tool but I don't think this concept of talented is only for a few. You know, I think talent, I really see talent as something that is there, and if you're open to grab it, you grab it, and then it's going to express itself however you allow for it to express.
Because for you said you are a motion designer, but you have other talents.
Oh yeah. I love to do other things. So like right now I'm just really getting into music again. There was a period where I was dancing, and I do really, one thing I identify myself with is being a creative being. I just want to create because I feel like creating is my essence, that we are in essence creators, right? But then society defines what that creativity should look like, if it's good, if it's not, and then also like if you should follow a career path, then maybe creative is not for you, maybe. What's interesting though also is that you find a lot of like wacky, crazy people in there. Like, the more creative you get, I was having a conversation with someone recently, it has a link also with pain, with being troubled, with, you know.
That feels like,
Yeah, and of course there are people who express happiness in their creativity, but a lot of people express other emotions and
that is a reality. We it's like alchemy. We transform that energy through art. And that was like when I was in my breakup during the pandemic thing. That was how I purge creating. And with plants as well, which I am with you totally. But that was the main thing, was creating, like the photographing, drawing, writing, and crying my eyes out. But that's part of it, and I am so happy that I rediscovered that. Because you are right, they kind of, you have to have a career, and if you do numbers, then you can do painting because you do numbers. But that's not true, because actually I think creativity can be used as a tool for healing. It will definitely get you, and the more creative you get, the more space is open for other sorts of creativity that you can try yourself. Like when I was a kid, I used to draw, and that was the way for me to get things out. And I always draw, and I always like it spontaneously. I was quite good at it. Never thought that could be a career. I got very good as a teenager in designing in computers. Never thought that could be a career. Why? No, because that's bullshit. Because that's not good enough. Because that's blah 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 blah. You need to have a proper career. find myself not having a proper career at all. So it's like...
Yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, also as a child. So I think as a kid, that was the thing, expressing through drawing or dancing. I think as a kid, I used to dance a lot as well. So it's interesting for me is that I'm still expressing those things, and I'm still figuring out what that creativity looks like, because it changes.
There is something as well very interesting, and is that when you grow up, you become an adult. You need to learn to become a kid again.
Oh yeah, and that's it.
It is like, and when you were a kid, you just wanted to grow up.
Yeah.
Or at least in my case, there is some people that probably know, but in my case, I just wanted to grow old and go away from my place. But I like now growing up, and I'm over 30 now, and I'm rediscovering this inner child as you, and feeding it, and like giving it a place, and a voice, and I don't know. So it's very important to kind of reconnect with the childhood and with that creativity that was there initially.
Yeah, I think so. And I also really interesting because I was thinking that, so we go through this whole process of being a kid, and then you grow up, well, like you're a teenager and you don't understand anything, and there's like hormones everywhere, and just everything is chaos. And then you grow up, and there's always this expectancy again from society of like growing up, like be a grown up, be responsible. But is it that really? And in that process of growing up, you forget that you are still that child.
The child is still within.
It's there, yeah. Whereas, like, wouldn't it be more accurate to say maturing?
Yeah.
You are maturing. Because sometimes you meet grown-ups who are kids and they don't even know it. And it's like that inner child, whether it's the angry inner child, the sad inner child, is controlling you, and you don't even know.
Exactly.
So I wonder, like, we have this concept of growing up, whether it should be maturing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the better way
to kind of see it.
Yes, but when they tell you to grow up, is because you need to have responsibilities, and you need to serve society. This is the grown up that they want. But is it what you want? That's the question. Me, definitely, I don't. And now I struggle to have this society way of living. I struggle a lot. I can't, I just think on myself or my lifestyle right now, and I'm saying, like, what were you doing before? Why were you living that way? What was wrong with you? And it's difficult to detach completely, but connecting with the creativity gets you in the process of, okay, this is whom you are. You need to embrace this individual, in whatever way. Like for me, it's photography. For you, it's design, music, plans. We all have like one different way to express, and we need to let that out. And let it, explore. Yes, it's a very beautiful process.
Oh, it is. It's surrendering as well to it. I think you just and surrendering to starting something new. And I struggle with this because I always want to be good at things. When you start new things, sometimes you're not good. You're not good.
I mean, you will find out how we will get better in this podcast, and you will see each stage from the episode 1 to whatever episode. It's a new beginning.
Yeah, it's a little seed right now, so
we're planting it and it will grow. But it is scary. Like before even thinking on filming this or having this process, you have this fear of, oh my God, what is gonna happen? What am I gonna do? How I am going to do it? Is it the right thing? Whatever. It doesn't make any sense, all those questions. But I think that we have to beat this fear. Beat it.
Just do it with the fear, anyways.
Yes.
Just feel the fear, embrace the fear, and do it anyways. I saw this very inspiring message on Instagram the other day, and it was in Spanish, so I'm gonna say it in Spanish. Where it was like basically saying, si te vas a morir, de todos modos, ¿por qué tienes miedo? ¿A qué le tienes miedo? Te vas a morir. It's like, and I know that sounds like, you don't have to think about death to be inspired, but it's like, if you think about your life, it's like you're gonna reach a point that it's gonna be too late. So what are you scared of? Exactly. That's the thing you should be scared of.
of the life ending and you're not doing what you want to do. Like when I that was in pandemic, when I reached my 30th, in my 30th birthday, I was sitting in the sofa, a bit tired because I came to work from a clinic, and I literally sat and fell. I didn't think of it. I felt life is running out. It's running out.
Yeah.
I'm wasting it. And ever since, I don't know if this is something common for people, and that could be the 30th crisis that people have, like they enter in a crisis when they turn 30. But I was there and I said, this cannot happen to me. I cannot, like, how long more am I waiting to do what I want to do?
Yeah.
And obviously it's not good to be thinking, oh, I'm gonna die. No, but you are alive. Take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And we take it from granted. That's the thing.
We do. It's really hard to be present every time and to acknowledge that really all we have is now, this moment right now, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't have control of things, so it's very hard to be present.
And something that was very awakening for me was the pandemic itself. We did not have control over nothing.
No.
But in all honesty, I know for some people it was very hard, and I'm very sorry. But that was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Because I connect with my creativity and I got back to myself. And I think that is the best thing you can do for yourself, to connect with you and to find out who you are, what you want. And if you're lost, okay, get lost in that lost, but find the best of it. And I think that was how I kind of lived the pandemic. And I hear people say, no, I was very depressed, I feel lonely, this and that. I feel them, but it wasn't my case.
Yeah. It's interesting how it's a thing that happened to everyone, but we all just experienced it so differently. I think for me it was a time that I knew I needed to be alone, but I didn't want to be alone because I had just gone through a breakup that was very codependent. So finding myself separated from that person meant that I really felt like I needed to hold on to other things, and myself of identity, my sense of identity and worth was very low. So what my life looked like pre-pandemic at that point was spending a lot of time in the pub, drinking a lot. I would wake up in the morning and feel so anxious because I couldn't remember what I did the night before, but I probably did something stupid. I probably said something stupid, and I would wake up and the first thing I would feel was anxiety, like, what did I say, what did I do? But I was in this like out of control, like so much pain and so much, and I didn't know how to be with that. So when the pandemic hit, I thought that's the best thing that could happen to me, because I was finally alone and I didn't feel like I needed to be anywhere else, because I couldn't be anywhere else, and I had to embrace all of that. And
but that's very good, and that's very interesting. I mean, for people that was already alone, that probably was too much. Because there is something that we agree on, and is that we are social beings. Don't we?
Definitely.
We need to socialize, and we need to find that balance between being alone and being with people, or trying to run away of your loneliness and go with whomever, as you were mentioning earlier. I think the right balance is to be good with yourself, but cultivate good relationships, this is what we, at least you and I, we try to do. I don't want to have a lot of friends. I want to do good quality. That's it. I don't want to spend time with whomever, and I don't have time for that either. I don't want to. I like the thought of people tell me, should we hang out? If it's the person that I don't want to hang out with, no, sorry, I can't. Because I want time and energy are so precious to be given to the wrong person, and that is something that I learned obviously after breaking up, and probably you like understanding how codependent you become, how much energy you spend trying to please others, because obviously not everyone will accept you as you are, and that's okay. You don't need to be accepted by everyone.
That's fine. I definitely had a moment, like a little click moment, when you know, after that breakup, because I remember I'd always try to get the best for my partner. So I'd try to get the best chocolate. If I was buying something, always the best, but I never did that for myself. And I remember the first moment I was in a supermarket, I was in Sainsbury's or something, and I was like, what is the best chocolate that I can get for myself? What chocolate do I like? And I went to the most expensive one and I got it for myself. And that was a real moment of thinking, you know, all that time, energy and care that you put into someone else, I should be doing that for myself, and I should be giving that to myself.
Definitely. Well, there is, people will say that selfish. There's some people that think that that's selfish, but that's not at all. And that's something that we have to understand. We need to cultivate ourselves. We need to feed that inner child. Like I'm going to therapy, and I'm with this process of making my inner Paola, baby Paola, happy. Yeah. And every time I go to therapy and I have these hard moments, because it's very hard.
Yes.
You just go through pain, to tears, and it's very overwhelming sometimes. So she always said to me, you do something you like, ask your inner child, your inner Paola, what do you want? Trying to find out what little Paola wants, what is best for her and for me as an adult, and how can I integrate this in my day-to-day life. And I think these are very important conversations that we need to have, and is what we want to bring to the podcast. So I would like this podcast to be very vulnerable somehow.
Yeah.
That people speak about realities, about how they feel, because I don't want the feelings and the emotions and the experience that we have to be any stigma. We all feel, we all have different experience, and we want to bring them to reality and to get people to understand that there is many different ways to connect with your art, as we were speaking, with your creativity, with your purpose. Conversation of spirituality are going to be held here. What other things? Because we have a lot of...
Yeah, I think there is a lot. We'll have a session on plants.
Yes, definitely. Sure. And the connection with nature.
Yeah.
There will be a deeper side of spirituality and psychedelics, which we will really would like to take and speak our experience, like, and what we've learned. Mental health, of course, is a topic, because we all go through phases. And something that I really would like to have is to speak about the experience to being an immigrant, to being a nomad, as we are, how we experience that, because I think back in Colombia or in South America or in Africa or in Asia, people think that when you come to live to these countries, you have your life sorted. And
yes, and it's not. It's I would say is another layer of this, when you really trying to strip everything and discover who you really are. For those of us who grow up in other countries, is another layer of identity that we often, at least in my case, I always wanted to be from where I was not, and always wanted to fit in and to feel. And I think that's, you look at it from overseas, back in Colombia or whatever, they look at us and they think, oh, but you have everything. And we do have a lot more. We have had opportunities and things that is harder to find in these other places. But we also have our struggles that I think is powerful to talk about, those struggles.
And I remember one of my trips to Mozambique. When I arrived to the country, I was going to work with the students, and one of the students told me, what are you doing here in Mozambique? And I was like, I was shocked, because I didn't know what to say. But people think that because we are in this part of the world, things are better here. Yeah. And then I had a conversation about that with one of the students. There are different struggles.
Yeah.
And something difficult that as well comes with it is that somehow we are connected to our roots, but not too connected. And we were disconnected when we came here, or wherever happened in our life. And we need to reconnect with it.
Yeah.
And that is a process as well. And that is something that we struggle with, because there is the point of feeling like you don't belong anywhere.
Yeah.
There is no home. Something like that. And that's something that I really, as we have experienced it, we want to bring it up to people, so you kind of understand wherever you're listening from, you can understand that it's not as easy as it seems as TV or social media shows. That is not the case.
Yeah. And also that we're planning to do this in 2 languages.
Oh yes.
So we're definitely gonna bring in some Spanish and just reaching out to the communities, the Spanish speaking communities, and things that we learn here that maybe are not as accessible for, you know, maybe your cousins or my cousins in Colombia or whoever it might be.
Yes, I think we're very lucky because we have 2 sources of learning and enriching ourselves and ourselves, and I feel lucky that I can have this conversation with you in Spanish as in English, and that I can get I don't know, I can listen to podcasts or read books or watch documentaries in other languages than Spanish. So I think that gives us the opportunity to bring you everything that we learned in the English language that you haven't in Spanish, or vice versa.
Yeah, it's a superpower. I've started seeing it that way. The fact that we speak 2 languages, definitely.
Yeah, and there is the dark side of it as well. The fact that we speak 2 languages, in my case, because as you can hear, Karen has a better accent as she has been here for longer, but I have my Spanish accent, and I have had racism through my accent, which is something that I will like to speak about. So this podcast is a spectrum of things that happen in reality that sometimes are not spoken. Those things are not spoken.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I think what you're just saying about racism or discrimination, I have had it on a very micro level, but it's there. Like, I don't have a strong accent, but I do have an accent, and often people need to point out that I have an accent. Where are you from? So it's very subtle. Only recently I realized it's not racism. I'm not being, but it's this constant, you're not from here, are you? And
but it's like, where are you from? I'm from London. But really, where are you from? And you are like, okay. Yeah. So obviously, I always tell you, we cannot hide where we are from because our features said, well, I'm from the Middle East, I'm from India, I'm from many different places. Yeah, so these are topics that I think we're going to bring up here, different stories. We're going to have different guests. She's going to have her own space, I'm going to have my own space, which is going to be the solo episode. And I really hope you enjoyed this with us.
Yes.
And that you share this with us.
Yeah, and jump on board.
That's okay.
Follow, like, share, all of that.
Anything. If you like the information that we give to you, we will appreciate that you share it with as much people as possible. This will help, obviously, for us to grow and to get AwakeNomada a bit farther than just London.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we'll get on a van.
We'll get on a van. Well, that is actually a thing.